any of the curtains.
No.
You recording?
Yeah. There you go.
What do you think? I don't think those curtains will work.
Have a roof.
Triple window. This one is not really what we're looking for either. Hey, look at this. They got a little cubby here. Some clips and some propane. Oh, what is this? Direct movement of time. Spiritual law of future sight.
Oh. There she is.
Oh, it's really, really cracked.
You don't look happy.
It's a piece of There's supposed to be a lip. These screws are all like, I'm wondering if this is even going to seal. And it's do you see the cracks?
Yeah, why can't you, like, seal it somehow and then paint it? Perhaps.
All right, we're dragging it home. I don't know what to think about this. It is in such bad shape. We don't really have any options, so this is it. We brought the high top inside because it needs a lot of love, and Sarah is going to learn how to repair gel coat cracks. You can see that the gel coat is really cracked, and in some places it's raised so much that you can feel like a lip with your finger. Good news is we got a high top. Bad news is it needs a ton of work. We're gonna try to fix that. So first things first, we're gonna get it up on here in the service position. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of work, but it's not hard work and it's not expensive work. So the issue with this cover is that the gel coat is cracked, and that's pretty easy to fix. The fiberglass looks okay from the inside. The chopped strand and pores all looked great. I didn't see any damage on there, did you? No. So what's happened is when they make this, they have a mold that's like an inversion of this, and they spray the gel coat first, and then they put in the chopped strand mat or cloth with polyester resin, hardens, pops out, whatever. This is the result. But the gel coat's on the outside and the fiberglass is on the inside. And what has happened is there are cracks that go all the way through this upper layer of gel coat into the fiberglass. The fiberglass isn't broken though. So what we're gonna have to do is use a Dremel tool or something. You can use a bottle opener too, just a can opener, and just drag through it. But we're gonna go to power tools just because this is a huge roof for a van, and there are about
1,000.
I would say about 839,000 cracks on this. What Sarah's gonna do here is we're gonna grind down all the way to the glass, and then we're going to fill it all with either polyester resin or gel coat. It doesn't really matter. And then we're gonna sand it smooth. So if we don't get into the fiberglass, this should not be itchy. So we've only ground out about an inch of the 839,000 inches in this thing that need to be ground out. But I've used this two different ways. This is just a variable speed Dremel, and I have a little round stone bit. First way I tried doing it was perpendicular to the surface, and you can see that you get a nice wide penetration down into there, and that's working okay, and it's also not grooving the base layer fiberglass. I tried it this way too, and it looks like you're getting just as deep, and maybe it's a little more efficient. The problem is with the shadow, it looks like I did a good job, but if you look really close, the crack is actually not in the center of that V. So if we repaired this, it might come right back, and we don't want the cracks to come back.
I don't want to do this twice.
So we're going to try to just make a round groove almost to expose a little bit of glass. And the other thing that's going to help is we have great lighting. I have a free help here, and we're going to have an air purifier running to make sure the dust stays out of the air. So time for time lapse. Wow, that looked like a lot of work. I'm glad I didn't do it. What we're gonna do now is scuff this whole thing, and then we're gonna throw a layer of gel coat on here and then sand it again and prime it. The reason you want to scuff it is that this is paint. Gel coat's not going to adhere to it real well. Also, there could be wax or sealants or all sorts of contaminants on here that would prevent getting a good bond from the new gel coat. So our goal here is to just scuff the entire thing, which should go pretty quick. Ready? Way cool. Let's get back to it tomorrow. Time for a shower.
Yeah.
you have blue.
So
on
do
your
you
face.
actually? Here, wait, let me forget. Yeah. And
Awesome.
it's in your whiskers. They get a little blue whiskers.
Cool. Blue hair.
Yep.
I'm gonna go watch Matlock.
Okay.
Get a pontoon boat.
Hey man, Matlock's cool.
Pontoon boats
not
aren't.
so much.
Alright, so next day, time to remove all the silicone from the perimeter of this thing. I have a just cordless drill with a wire wheel, and that'll strip that right off. So let's do that.
So after sanding the first layer, it became a lot easier to tell what was a scratch and what was a crack. And some of these little cracks that we thought that maybe we wouldn't have to Dremel out because they might sand out, some of them are really pretty deep into the gel coat there. So even though there's a million of them, we figured if we're gonna do all this work, I don't want to have to do it again or have it leak afterwards. So might as well do it right. So I'm doing another pass. It's also been easier to see spots that you missed or where it extended a little past where you thought it was, now that it's sanded and out in the sun and everything. So doing some more of that fun, yay!
On the exterior, Sarah has finished grinding out all these cracks. And what we're gonna try to do is get the top painted at the same time as the rest of the van. But I can't leave this thing in primer outside because primer does not protect from moisture. So what would happen is rain or snow, I mean, let's be real, snow, is gonna soak through the primer and get in here, and
and make more cracks that I'm not
maybe. So we wanna seal it with something. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill these cracks with resin and Cabasil, sand this thing flat, and then we're gonna spray a polyester primer, because this is polyester resin, so it's the same material as gel coat. Gel coat is just polyester resin with pigment. So we're basically gonna be gel coating this, so to speak, with primer. But it's again, it's not like a layer that protects from the weather. Then we're gonna have to paint it and then put it on the van. So this thing got all cracked up, I think because the gel coat was kind of thick, and as you can see, this was hours and hours and hours of work, so thank you, Sarah. But I don't want it to happen again. So why did it happen? Why did it happen? Well, the gel coat could be too thick, but there were also these massive scrapes up here, and I think there was something heavy put up here. Like, I don't know if it was an axle, I don't know, something. And the forces of it caused all these stress cracks. And I thought the cracks were purely in the layer of the gel coat, but actually what I'm seeing, if I look really close, is that it's going into the glass in a few places. I'm not sure if you can even see this.
So you think probably after it was in the junkyard, something, or whenever in storage, something heavy was stored on top of it, as opposed to like the forces of using it.
Yeah, definitely. That's what these scrapes were. If the paint was in perfect condition and there weren't massive gouges about someone just tossing something heavy up here, like...
And then it sat there for
a
while.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if when you were saying that you meant you thought they had like a roof rack with crazy heavy storage on it or something. So
no. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually just looking in some of the bigger cracks in this really nice light and trying to see if I see any more cracks in the fiberglass itself, because that's where I'm going to really want to reinforce it from the backside. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you can kind of understand where the structure is compromised and then beef it up. Let's flip it over, and we're going to add some more fiberglass cloth and maybe some Nitacore to this thing to beef it up and make it way
stronger,
stiffer.
I always mess it up. Sorry.
Lift up now. Lift up now.
I can't stop. No, look, it's just. So, you probably can't see it on video. It was just nothing but dust. It just slipped right out of my hands because there's no lip on the front. It's just flush.
Your excuses. Okay, so now that Sarah's done dropping it, I'm going to get a good look at the bottom of this thing. I actually haven't seen it since we bought it because it's been the other direction. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but there is a crack, like right here. You kind of see it, it almost looks like broken glass. Like you can't feel anything with your fingernail, but it's reflecting light. On the outer surface, there was a huge crack. So what I'm gonna do is scuff up this whole area, and we're just gonna reinforce this with some heavy glass right here to help give it some more structure.
So yeah, there's quite a bit of it on here, so.
Okay, so this thing is clean and sanded, and what we're gonna do before we start gel coating all these cracks is just put some tape on the bottom edge where it's mating up to the roof of the van, because there are all these holes. But the way you install this thing is you put a metal strip here and then put the screws in. There's no way we're gonna be able to know where these holes are. So we really just want this to be a uniform piece of fiberglass or plastic. So we're gonna put tape on the bottom edge, and then as we're gel coating, we're gonna fill in all these holes. So I don't know if that's the perfect way to do it, but that's how we're doing it, right?
Yeah, that's like our tagline for the whole project.
Good enough. Okay, well, Sarah finishes taping up the edge over there. I'm going to explain gel coat. Gel coat is basically fiberglass resin with some pigment added to it. It's still polyester resin. So we're going to be using that to fill in all these cracks. We just have a can of gel coat, kind of liquidy, a little thicker, and then some hardener or catalyst. And if you read the back of it, it'll tell you what ratio you're supposed to do. It's a little cooler today, so we're just going to kind of do that, but add a little more than necessary. In terms of applying it, we're just going to mix it up with this stick, and then I just cut up some guacamole container lids to just use it as a putty knife to smear it into all these little cracks that have been ground out so expertly.
Tediously.
All right, let's do it. Time lapse. What's your tips and tricks so far?
Buy a topper without a bunch of cracks in it. No, so we figured out that if you kind of dollop it on there proud and let it set a little bit and then lightly smear over it, it works pretty well. Also,
or you just dump it on the surface and just smear it around.
That too, that works.
There's so many cracks.
I was gonna say, don't be afraid to be messy, just let it do its thing.
So our plan is, normally you'd sand this smooth before you primer, but we're going to be using a polyester primer, build primer, which is, again, kind of like resin. So we're just going to spray it, even with all these globs all over the place, and then sand it smooth when we're done. Then seal it, and then shoot a coat of paint on it. Alright, so here's the end result. It's pretty rough. You can see that the gel coat just kind of had to be slathered on there. Just real messy, was not very precise. I think that'll be okay. What we're going to do in the next episode is shoot this thing with primer. I'm going to be using a special primer called Featherfill G2. It's polyester primer, chemically the same as fiberglass resin, I think. So I'm not too worried about the inconsistencies of the finish right now. I think this primer is going to be thick enough that we'll just be able to shoot this, sand it flat, and then yeah, we'll be able to seal it and spray it. So this is a lot of work. If you ever have the opportunity to not do this, I suggest not doing this and buying a van with a high top already installed, because we don't even have it on the van yet, and this has been a massive time vampire. So anyway, stay tuned until next time. Cheers.